you, so it's just really tremendous to be here. So my role today is to help you as board members consider your role as a fundraiser. Oh. So everybody just clinches, right? You know, so you say fundraising and people say, oh no, somebody else can do that, right? Yeah, so, but we're actually all fundraisers. And so, but first of all, professionally, I should ask, how many of you in the room have actually worked as a fundraiser for an organization? Okay, 2, 3? So, and so I'm speaking to the choir, but truly, fundraising is friend raising. And it's always friend raising. And so it's, all of us have really been part of it. How many have you been part of a stewardship campaign at your congregation? So quite a few. And how many of you have sat down with somebody and asked for a gift for your church or for a Christian project? Okay, so I'm to the choir, right? Because many of you have had the experience of fundraising. So I have a handout here. I'd like to pass this out. I think I have enough copies, and if not, maybe Scott would make some more. A couple of things on I'm going to take one of those. On my list of things to remember, from your own words, why are we doing this? Why are we doing the mission appeal? Anybody? Why are you doing the mission appeal? And Tim doesn't have to answer this one.
We want to raise awareness, not only of what we are, but what we can be.
So awareness is very important, raising awareness. And what is the reach of that awareness? How far do you want to go with that?
As far as we can.
Okay, around the world?
Yeah.
Okay, so awareness. Why else would you do a mission appeal? That's probably number one, awareness. Why are we doing this? Anybody?
We believe in our mission. We believe in the mission of this organization. So
Yeah.
if we do that pushes us, compels us, propels us.
Yeah. So you believe in it, and you're aware, and you want others to be aware, and you'd like to share that belief with others. Belief in the mission. So somebody else tell me, why is this important to you? And one more person. Why is this important?
Well, if it truly is a mission of value, then it will allow us to bring scale to it by increasing the cost.
So scale, like increased delivery.
Capacity.
Yeah, capacity. Good. So before I forget, I have been invited by your new development director, Kim, and Tim, invite you to all participate in this mission appeal. Every single one of you, 100%. How many of you have served on another board? Any other boards? Have you ever been asked by that board to participate in a mission appeal? And so the idea is I'm the outsider coming in, I'm the interloper, and I get to ask you to be 100% participatory. Now what do you think of that? Now it could be a $5 gift, or it could be a $500,000 gift. We're not talking about everybody should give $10,000 or everybody should give $1,000. We're just saying we would like, and I'm speaking for Kim now, Kim would like 100% participation of the board. Now normally I would make that invitation at the end of my presentation, but I wanted to plant the seed because I'm going to ask you at the end of the presentation if you would participate. And of course it's free will. I mean, you know, it's a request, but like every request, you can decline. But we sincerely hope that every board member would participate in the mission appeal. And why would you do that? Because of scale, because of belief, because of awareness. So that as you go out and friend raise, you can say, and I'm doing it. So important. Like
If you can say you've got 100% board participation, it goes along.
Yeah. And over at Lutheran Social Service, that's our goal, and we usually do get our board to say yes. And it can be a small gift or a large gift, but that ability to say to our, commitment by the organization, the governing body of the organization. Kim would like to know the connections to your congregation for this mission appeal, with your permission. So it would be wonderful if you could be the emissary, the ambassador from your congregation for this mission appeal for GHM. How's that? So we're just going to talk about that at the end a little bit. And because if we're going to scale, and if we're going to create awareness out of our belief, we're going to want to tell everyone, starting right at home, with our family, with our spouses, with our kids, with our congregation, with our community. And that's how we do fundraising. So there will be other things that I have to remember here, but I'll come back to that. So I have a handout for you, and I'd like to kind of follow this and invite you to just take some notes along the way. Sometimes I say, don't look at it until the end of the presentation. Today, I want you to look at it. I would like to just call out this. Now, in my world of fundraising and fundraising, everything is about the relationship. Would you agree? If you're going to ask for participation somehow, it's just about relationships. So yeah, it's about money, but it's not principally about money. It's principally about your mission and the purpose of your mission and the vision that you have for where you want to go and the core values that you have, what you care about, what do you really care about. You want to share that with people so that the goals of the project, of the mission appeal, are anchored in your mission, in your core values, in the vision for where you're going, and then the steps along the way, the goals that you exercise. So when I think about the goals that I have over at Lutheran Social Service, the goals are very specific for a major gift officer. My goals are to meet with at least 5 major donors. By that, over at LSS, we say $5,000 gift a year or more. So I need to visit with 5 of those people a week. And that's where the rubber hits the road. It's the right people, at the right time, with the right ask. Now that's at the end of the spectrum. So there may be a time when you say to Kim, Kim, I've met somebody at my congregation and I think they're very interested in participating in the mission appeal. Would you come in and ask? And she would say, sure. Yeah, that's her job. And you might meet, so you might not actually be involved in the direct ask for the gift. But you're the connector. You're the person who builds the relationship so that we can advance the project quickly and so that we can scale it up over time. So now, I'm all excited about this. By show of hands, how many of you are already excited about your mission appeal? All right. Not everybody, so we got a ways to go. All right, just a little temperature check. You have a tremendous person with Kim Dickey. I've met with her several times now, and she has really got it. So you are blessed and double blessed with a development director who can get this job done. So if you want to believe in this, you can say you've got a great director with Tim, and you've got a great person doing development work now with Kim. I know her well enough from my profession to say, you got it. Everybody can do what she does. And she's going to walk side by side with you until this job is done. Now, how many of you are excited about this mission appeal? By show of hands. Get them up in the air. How many people are really excited? So the idea is you want to be enthusiastic about this. You want to go home and say, my goodness, we have really got a great thing going at GHM, right? And we got a new director to do it, and we're going to get the job done. Now, why would you do it? Why, again, are we doing this mission appeal? Anybody? Spit it out. What's on your mind? Why would you do it? Specifics. Where?
We love the organization and we love the people overseas that we are able to help.
Yeah, love. And you love them. And when we sit down with a donor, we want to pass on that tremendous love that you have for the people overseas and the people doing the work on the ground. It's all about sharing God's love tangibly in the ways in which you do. Now, how many people are excited about the appeal? All right. There is only one way to raise money. What is it? Yeah. And what is the context for the ask? Relationship. And usually it's like 1-to-1 or 2-to-2, usually. Now I could say, I'm asking you today to be a participant in the mission appeal, right? And you've all said, yeah, I'm excited about it. And I think you're in. Now, that's one kind of ask. But if I were to sit down and ask you for a gift, your gift to this mission appeal, or if Kim Dickey does that, then it's probably you and your spouse, or you and Kim, and maybe Tim is at the table, you know. So it's kind of 1-to-1. And people are generally afraid of these conversations. How many people have a little fear when it comes to asking people for money? Yeah, so most of us do. I still do. I have call reluctance. I have a hard time picking up the phone sometimes. And I've been doing it for 35 years. You know, it's just like, Tim, do you ever have call reluctance? Yeah. I mean, it never goes away, does it? No, and so you just get over it. You know, you feel the fear and you do it anyway, and you pick up the phone. And what is the first thing that happens when you start speaking? The fear goes away. You pick up the phone and you start talking about Madagascar, you start talking about DTHD or something, you know, you forget all about your fear, right? Because now you're into the core values and the purpose and the vision that you have, and you're just talking about it, and it goes easily because you're excited about the mission. So we're grounded in the core values, we're grounded in the mission, we're grounded in the vision that you have for the future, and the steps that you are taking are to talk to people about it freely. But yeah, we have call reluctance. We all do. So, framing attitude. I'm kind of getting close to this. Number one on that sheet is what I don't want to do. And I do it all the time, just like call reluctance. I think I've got a problem to fix. And I want you to help me fix my problem. So I go to stewardship committee at church and I say, you know, we're way behind. Can you help us get out of the hole? How exciting is that? So we don't want to go to that place of fixing a problem, right? We got a big problem overseas, and we need money in Madagascar, or we need money for Dodoma. You know, we don't want to go there. It's not about fixing a problem, because of what are we really assured of when we're talking about the love that we feel of our friends overseas? We are really assured of God's abundance. Like there is no limit. There is absolutely no limit to God's love in this world. And that's where we're coming from. So it's not scarcity. It's not like we got a big problem to fix. We just got a lot to share. And we can't wait to do it. So seeking to convince or manipulate, and I tell you, I've been there so many times, you know, like, because the pressure's on from the hierarchy at LSS, you know, we got to make our goal. We got $500,000 to raise tonight. Let's get out there and do it, you know. And then I'm feeling the pressure, and then I have to step aside and say a prayer, and Holy Spirit, fill me up and take me out there on the stage with abundance, because I want to be generous. I don't want to be fixing stuff, and I don't want to manipulate people, and I don't want to convince something. So let's scratch number one and go to number two. We want to open up creative possibilities. Ideation. Sitting down with a person to say, what's possible in your life? What is God leading you to? What's God up to you? What is God up to in your life? So the biggest problem that I have in fundraising is myself. The biggest problem is that I talk too much. don't go anywhere or speak anytime without telling a story from Lutheran Social Service, a person who was helped by LSS. So here's my story. The one I'm going to tell it when I preach tonight at 5 o'clock. And this is an example of how I would tell a story, okay? Frame it as youth homelessness. We are very concerned at LSS about youth homelessness. There are over 2,000 kids between the ages of 13 and 19 in Minnesota who are homeless tonight, who do not have a safe home to go to. So I will tell you the story about my friend Marcus, who I met in Duluth. Marcus was 15 years old when his mother said, "I can't afford you anymore, you're going to have to leave today." Backstory was, Mom had lost her job, was divorced, and met a boyfriend who said, "You can move into my apartment, but not him. You, but not him." So she was desperate, and she said, "Marcus, you're going to have to find another place to live. I'm moving in with boyfriend." So he was on the street in Duluth in January, and the police picked him up and brought him to LSS Renaissance House. And there he found his home for the next 4 years. And I met this kid 5 years ago, and 4 years ago, I guess. And he's a poet. He draws with graphite. Like me, he's a bicycler. And he's a kid that I had adopted in a minute. 6'1" African American with hearing aids, and artistic, in love with life, has no, he has just nothing but a positive attitude. He wanted to take on the blame, say, my mom's, and it wasn't her fault, it was really my fault. I was too much of a burden. It was his story to me. Now, today, he's at the University of Minnesota Duluth. He's got his own apartment. I just saw his new car last week, a used car, and he's got a job. And he has not had any contact with his biological parents since the day she said, "You're going to have to leave." She doesn't want anything to do with him. Big problem. I think it's outrageous. Now, there's an example of a story. How do you feel after hearing that story? Tell me, somebody. What are you feeling?
Great compassion for that kid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What else? What are you feeling? Anything? Yeah, help him. Mm-hmm. I said outrage. Every time I tell the story, I just get angry, When you tell a story to a person who you're soliciting for the mission appeal, you want it to be contextual. You want it to be meaningful. And the warm-up stage, I contract with people when I sit down with them in a friendly, sort of nonchalant way. And that's where we're going on to page 2. So after you've arranged a conversation, and by the way, I would hope that every single one of you not only would participate in the mission appeal with a check or with a pledge, but also with a commitment to sit down and talk to your friends about this mission appeal. I mean, talk to your spouse, talk to your mother, talk to your father, talk to your kids, talk to people in your church, talk about this mission appeal. That's the mandate from the board. Talk about this because we want to ramp it up, we want to have it grow exponentially, we want to accomplish our goal and our mission, and it's driven by the leaders. It's always driven by leadership. So when you make an arrangement to visit with somebody, and it could be, I could be sitting down with my niece to talk about Global Health Ministries. I think she'd be very interested. So the first thing I do is define the time for the conversation. I'll say, I have an hour this morning. How about you? How much time would you like to dedicate to this conversation this morning? And they say, well, I got a lot of time. I got an hour and a half. And I said, okay, let's go for an hour and a half. And we'll include coffee. And so the idea is it okay, or should there be, you're contracting so that you get an agreement that this is an okay conversation to have. You're really not only getting the time frame, but you're getting permission to carry on the conversation. Now obviously they're already sitting with you, so they've agreed. But you want to kind of just confirm, is it okay if we visit for an hour or an hour and a half? And then once you do that, you don't want to go over the limit. I could tell you a story, but I won't do that, about how I go over the limit, because I still do. But it's like I set my my iPhone timer, so it beeps at me when I'm at an hour. the most important thing that we can do in this kind of conversation, know it's about money and time and commitment, is to promise confidentiality. And so when I visit with some people, they say, I will share what I have to share with you, but I really don't want you to take it back to anybody at LSS. And then I have to promise that. Now most of the time, 90% of the time, people say, you can share my story with anybody. But you want to be able to commit to confidentiality and really keep it. So, and then at the end of the conversation, you can check with them. Now, I've taken notes. And if you don't want me to share any of this with anyone, I'll just give you the notes and I'll promise my confidentiality. Or you might say, I've taken some notes. Would you mind if I took them back to the office and recorded them in your file? And if they say, oh, I'm really uncomfortable with that, give them the notes. And just promise confidentiality. The most important thing you can do is have the conversation. Most of the time people give because they love the organization, or they care about someone, or they've seen something that has turned their heart, caused a transformation in their life. And that's what we're really looking for, is that conversation that connects core values. You're exactly right on. So framing the conversation, once you have established this little contract of time and confidentiality and dispelled a little fear, then you just want to acknowledge them. Now, how many of you have heard about appreciative inquiry? A few people. So this is a tool. And I'm not going to preach appreciative inquiry this morning. Just plant the seed that there's something there. That most people really, I love when somebody says, gosh, you look great today. I left this morning and somebody said, great tie, So I felt like $1 million, And you can appreciate people for things that you notice. And it draws them into the conversation because they feel appreciated. We all want to feel appreciated. And we don't ever want to feel judged. Right? And we don't want judgment, we want appreciation. So let's show it. And the best way into the conversation, and it's not manipulative, because it's honest. You're really recognizing something that you really notice about. You've got a great smile. That's just honest. I'm not manipulating you. I'm telling you, you got a great smile. Keep it up. So the idea of appreciating people is at the centerpiece of this conversation. And it's really not about me. My boss has got a great big button she wears. She says, it's not about me. And she wears that around the office because, when we're doing fundraising, it's not about me. Get over myself. Get out of my, habit of worrying and fretting about how it's going to turn out. Just step into the conversation with somebody and appreciate them. And you're going to have a great day. Start appreciating people. That's the way we share abundance and gratitude, right? So it's the work of God. Because you're sharing appreciation. When you share appreciation, you're sharing love. And all of love, every bit of love in this world is from God. And when you feel those tears and you feel the affection for one another, you're feeling God's presence, right? Anybody want to object to that? Okay. That's where we go in a conversation about friend raising. We want to appreciate people, and we want them to appreciate us. So thanking people, you can never thank people enough, right? I mean, I get a little carried away. I answer every email that I write with a thank you, even if I'm giving something. I've been asked for something, I give it, and I say thank you. Can't say it enough. In our world of fundraising, you want to say thank you to everybody you meet, even if they say no thank you. It's not the right time for me. Thank you. Thanks for considering it. Thanks for the conversation. Thank you for listening today. It's all good. And maybe the timing isn't right for them. Maybe they just don't want to. They got other fish to fry, So let them be and just thank them. It's no judgment on you if the timing isn't right. So no is okay. Right? No is okay. Not everybody in the world that you meet is going to, participate in the mission appeal. So, but they might tell somebody about it, and they might share it in their conversation or in their congregation. So just because they say, no, I can't make a commitment today, doesn't mean that you haven't shared the good news with them in a powerful way. But we don't want to feel daunted or depressed, like set back when somebody says no. It's hard to hear no. And now normally it would be one-to-one, and normally you'd be sitting down with Kim or Tim or a friend from GHM. So the next step in a visit, and if we had broken this down and if I had visited with each one of you, you would have been telling the same passion. You've just told it generally to the larger group. So the next step after a person shares their passion is to thank them. You've come into the conversation presumably saying, I'm not going to ask you for a check today. Now that may or may not be true, but you certainly have my permission to go into the first meeting saying, I'm not going to ask you for a check today, but I'd like to talk to you about our mission appeal with Global Health Ministries. So the next step, short of asking for a check, would be an invitation. I think you have all been prepared to actually be invited to participate in this mission appeal, right? By show of hands, how many people are excited about this mission appeal for Global Health Ministry and what it means to healthcare around the world? All right, we've got 100% participation, I believe. And that's where we wanted to be today, is to say, I am excited about the mission appeal, and I am going to take part. So my invitation to you, each one of you, is to go home and consider the type of gift that you will make to this mission appeal. And I invite you to correspond with your new development director, Kim Dickey, to tell her what you would like to do for this mission appeal. Now, if you could talk to Tim too, and you could talk to each other, but it's especially important today for you to hear directly an invitation to participate in this mission appeal. To say, I'm excited about it, I want to be part of it, for all of the reasons that we have just heard around the table. Your passion is what will drive your response. Your story, your calling, your concern for those people who are not getting dental care, whatever it is, have those people in mind. Have the specific projects in mind that you have named today as you make your pledge for a gift into the mission appeal. Identify next steps. I would invite you to do that with Kim Dickey. It might be that I filled out my pledge card already and you have it. I'd like to confirm that. That's my pledge. Or you might say, I'm going to do something in addition. Or I haven't filled out a pledge card, but I'd like to visit with you about my pledge or my gift. And then that will give her the opportunity to record for each one of you, and it's really important that each one of you are on board with this, because the recording of this is critical. We want a written record for everyone. Now, back in the shop at LSS, we have something called Razor's Edge. I think you have that here too. And I have a little sign on my desk that says, if it is not entered in Razor's Edge, it did not happen. I could go out and call for a gift and come back and all smiles and go have lunch and forget about it. No, it's not there. So the recording of this is really critical for the organization. And then I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for the work that you do for healthcare around the world, and for participating in such a way today that you have literally gone through a fundraising process this morning. You have done, each of you have done each of the steps of a fundraising ask, but we've done it corporately. And so if you can picture yourself doing this with family and friends in your congregation, one-on-one, having this conversation, I just invite you to use this as your guide. This is what I do at LSS. This is, every time I sit down, I follow this format to do the request. And every piece of it is important. The contracting, passions, solicitation is easy after you've talked about the passion. So anyway, I just want to thank you for having me here today. I've told Tim that I would support Kim in ways that are appropriate over time. I can be called on to help. I would be happy to go out on solicitation visits with Kim or with Tim when it's appropriate. So you have my attention, and you have my commitment to this organization, and you also have a commitment from me to make a gift from my personal bank account for this project. So thank you. Thanks for having me.
But thanks for sharing.